collaboration with Massachusetts. But we may see. This has been throughout a controversial field. I wanted to get some of your reflections on why you think, sort of, looking at it, some people have been upset by AI, whether it's, and what do you think it's been about?
I think the field is controversial because we live in a spiritualist culture. When Pasteur argued that living things were just chemistry, that was unacceptable. And because people said there's a real difference between things that are alive and things that are dead. In fact, you don't even apply the word dead to rocks. They're not worthy of it. What do we say? Alive and inanimate. And so in the 19th century, until Pasteur roughly, this was considered to be a very important distinction. Now, in science, it's no distinction at all. Nobody considers living things to be any different from other things, except that it happens to have certain processes going on. Well, I think the same thing is, people think that we live from a tradition from Plato on, which is that there's a mental world. It's a spiritual world, that the body is a mechanical thing and the mind, or even the soul, is something else. And so AI is challenging that. In a religious culture, we would be heretics to be burned or whatever, because, but I don't see that it has anything to do with artificial intelligence. It's that to most people in our culture, we're saying there are no souls, there are no spirits. And so this is a religious controversy, not a technical one. No technical person, to me, of any quality, thinks that there is such a thing as a living thing. There are just things that move around because they have myosin, and the mechanisms are sort of understood pretty well. And we understand that you can't have something that's half alive because it takes a lot of stuff to have this thing keep going and repairing itself and fueling it, because it's a rather crummy structure anyway. It needs a lot of continual repairs all the time. So the living things certainly are identifiable, and they're different from the other things, but there's nothing special about them. I think the same thing is the case with mentality. That is, if you have enough knowledge and enough processes and enough other processes to keep it in contact with what it's doing, then you get a mind, and I don't see it as something to argue about. But if somebody thinks that we have a spirit and an inherent value which is different from the stuff we're made of, then of course it's a threat. But it's a religious argument, not a technical one.
But some people who wouldn't be religious might also...
They don't know they're religious.
They don't know they're religious. I wondered whether it was a uniqueness of...
Religious is, to me, religious is the superstitious belief in spirits that don't exist. And so anyone who says there's something in a man that's not in a machine is religious in the sense that they're saying there's a spiritual quality I can't explain. No matter what you say, I refuse to believe that I don't have it. That's faith. That's not. They're not saying anything that it does that technically they can show we can't do. Or
there's another